Many of you watching the debate last night might have been thinking to yourself, holy crap, my country's going down the toilet in a gigantic whirl of offal that bears an uncanny resemblance to one candidate who's a neurotic ignoramus and another who's the incarnation of evil. But let's look at it in a more positive light. Yes, it's true. Hillary Clinton came across as a robotic avatar of pure corruption, her predatory smile hiding a soulless emptiness that seeks nothing but its own profit, even at the expense of the nation that nurtured her in its bosom as a healthy organ nurses the cancer that will one day destroy it. And yes, it's likewise true that Donald Trump is so incredibly stupid that if he bumped into a wall in the Oval Office, he'd get stuck in the corner, even though the office is like an oval and there are no corners for him to get stuck in, but it would just be like his stupidity would make a corner out of it because his stupidity is just that enormous, and then he'd just keep bumping into the same corner again and again forever. And yes, we also have to admit that Hillary did remind us of a living pustule of infectious wickedness that seemed to have arisen like an unthinkable pimple on the nose of the George Washington face on Mount Rushmore, which then popped, releasing the pus of venality to drool down the face of our iconic president, thus symbolically transforming a nation that was once noble and beautiful into a horrific image of disease and putridity, such that everything it comes in contact with becomes little more than a reflection of its own gangrenous decadence. And okay, Trump is a third-rate bully boy without enough intelligence under his bizarre hair to allow him to find the capital of Wisconsin on a map that had the shape of Wisconsin outlined with the word Wisconsin on it and a big star in the middle with an arrow pointing at it next to the words, "This is Madison, the capital of Wisconsin." And yes, Hillary is a slavering demon from all the malodorous sewers of hell, flushed into the bloodstream of the country by the hand of a satanic fate that seems to mock us for our aspirations by setting before us a crone-like image of our own most reprehensible cravings for power and self-destruction. But the important thing is this. After watching the debate, I think all of us can come together as one, joined by the realization that we all live in a mighty republic dreamed up by the wisest political thinkers ever to have walked the earth and handed down to us Democrats and Republicans both so that we could transform it into a reality television cage match between the most wretchedly fetid hellion on the planet and a lumbering ogre of almost unimaginable ignorance. So don't despair. Oh, wait, no, despair. Despair a lot, and for a long time, then weep very loudly, then die in a torment of remorse and self-disgust. Otherwise, it was a great debate. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shaped, ipsy-topsy, the world is zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray! It makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray! Oh, hooray, hurrah!
The greatest 30 seconds in podcasting. But when are we going to get some merch? Are we going to get some merchandise to sell with it? Yeah, we got to get some hurrah, hooray merchandise, no question. So we sent somebody out to discuss with the candidates last night how they did, and here's his report to them.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
All right, David Harsanyi posted out on the Federalist. He wrote a piece that went, on Monday night, America witnessed one of the most worthless and certainly one of the most infantile presidential debates in its history. After listening to Donald Trump's metafictions and Hillary Clinton's manicured obfuscations, the voter is left with one question: do you prefer an idiocracy or a kleptocracy? I thought that was very, very well put. All right, 2016 sucks, but you do get, we will tell you who won and lost the debate. We will and this is the show where the future comes to announce itself. Everything we've ever said has always turned out to be true in the long run. It is absolutely true. We will tell you who won and who lost. And though 2016 sucks, my book is out, which is the important thing. The Great Good Thing, A Secular Jew Comes to Faith in Christ. It's my memoir. I got a letter today. I mean, I've been getting a lot of these lately, but I got, just people saying, you've truly changed my outlook on my faith and overall perspective of life. That's, yeah, that's the kind of reaction I've been getting. You can get it for free if you would just subscribe to the website. They'll send you the book for free. Come on, it's a limited limited offer or whatever. Or just subscribe because you want to watch the show. And tomorrow is Mailbag Day. Woohoo, exactly my feelings precisely. And if you subscribe, you can send in some questions. I would love to hear your questions. And also, if you want to add some stuff you like, I always like to hear that. Sometimes I may not mention it on the show, but I actually may go back and try it. What else? You got 15 minutes on Facebook and YouTube to watch us. Then we cut you off like a wandering child who we no longer own. And you have to come to listen to the rest of it on the Daily Wire, or you can download it from iTunes or SoundCloud. But if you just would pay us your lousy $8 a month, you get 30 days for free. You get my book for free, and then $8 a month. And you can listen and watch the whole show live on the Daily Wire, right? You can see the whole thing, okay? All right, the debate. Now, here's the thing. If you're, last night during the debate, somebody tweeted out, you can't trust Andrew Klavan now that he's endorsed Donald Trump. And I thought, endorse Donald Trump? Wow, if I had been there when that happened, I'd have been really angry with me, I must have missed that, because I haven't endorsed anybody. I have admitted that viscerally, in my heart of hearts, I'm kind of rooting for Trump, not because I like Trump, because I despise not only Hillary, but the entire structure of the media and the permanent government, the bureaucracy that supports her and that has spewed her out like a pustule from like an infected sore, I mean, she is just the absolute avatar and representative of that structure that I hate. So I'm kind of like I'm kind of like an aristocrat at the French Revolution, sort of cheering the mob that's eventually going to guillotine me, so I'm rooting for Trump, I must admit, but I don't endorse him. I know what he is. I thought last night, so if you're looking for cheerleading or somebody to tell you what you want to hear, wrong place, obviously, as always. But what I thought happened last night, we all saw the same debate. For 30 minutes, Trump was killing her. I mean, he was killing her. For half an hour, it was kind of a tussle between the two of them. And then for half an hour, she destroyed him. She killed him right back. On points, then, it was a tie. But I don't think it's going to work out as a tie. And I'll tell you that when I get to the end. I think that Trump was foiled by three things. He could have become president last night. He really could have. But he was foiled by three things: ignorance, ideology, and neurosis. One of those things he can fix. And if he can fix one of them, he can't fix it, but he can fix the effects of it. He can change the effects of it. If he can fix that one thing, he will kill her, because he showed that he could win in the first 20 minutes of the debate. He showed exactly what he had to do. He attacked. He was on the attack, but he attacked without being grotesque and petty. He was attacking her on real stuff. She started out talking about housing, I guess it was. It's cut number 4. Yeah.
Donald was one of the people who rooted for the housing crisis. He said back in 2006, gee, I hope it does collapse, because then I can go in and buy some and make some money. Well, it did collapse.
That's called business, by the way.
9 million people lost their jobs. 5 million people lost their homes, and $13 trillion in family wealth was wiped out.
Okay. Now, this is the ignorance. It was ignorance, ideology, and neurosis. Okay. This is where the ignorance comes in. If Trump knew anything, which he doesn't, he would have said, yeah, you guys caused that. It was Democrat policies that caused the housing crisis. I know that doesn't get covered, but anybody with a little bit of reading could find it out. It was written about in the New York Times. It was a former newspaper, I mean, it's not like they're trying to report on anything, but it was written about there. It's been written about again and again. The policy of forcing banks to give loans to people who couldn't pay them back is what started the housing crisis. He could have nailed her on there, but he didn't. But having said that, he did come back with a fairly good response. This is number 5.
And Hillary, I just ask you this. You've been doing this for 30 years. Why are you just thinking about these solutions right now? For 30 years you've been doing it, and now you're just starting to think of solutions.
Well, actually,
I will bring back jobs. You can't bring back jobs.
Well, actually, I have thought about this quite a bit.
Yeah, for 30 years.
I have, well, not quite that long. I I think my husband did a pretty good job in the 1990s. I think a lot about what worked and how we can make it work again.
Well, he approved
3 million
NAFTA.
new jobs,
He approved
a balanced
NAFTA,
budget,
which is the single
and
worst trade deal ever approved in this country.
Incomes went up for everybody. Manufacturing jobs went up also in the 1990s, if we're actually going to look at the facts. Well, when I was Secretary of State, we actually increased American exports globally 30%. We increased them to China 50%. So I know how to really work to get new jobs and to get exports that help to create more new jobs.
Well, you haven't done it in 30 years or 26 years.
Well,
any number you
I've
want to
been
do.
a senator,
You
Donald,
haven't done it.
and
You haven't
I
done
have
it.
been a
And excuse
Secretary
me,
of State, and I have
your
done
husband signed
a lot.
NAFTA, which was one of the worst things that ever happened
Well,
to the
that's your
manufacturing
opinion.
industry.
That is your
You go to
opinion.
New England, you go to Ohio, Pennsylvania, you go anywhere you want, Secretary Clinton, and you will see devastation.
So that's really good. That was really good stuff. And not only that, you could see in her eyes that she was starting to crack. You could see that she was going to do that thing that Trump gets people to do where they destroy themselves. I mean, she was right on the brink. She was right on the brink. And his best moment was when she said, when they started to accuse him, both of them, because Lester Holt, the moderator, people have been complaining about him all day. Absolutely true. He was totally unfair. He asked Trump the tough questions. Fair enough. About birtherism and his tax releases. He asked Hillary nothing about the emails, nothing about all these charges of corruption, all the scandal. None of it came up. He interrupted Trump again and again. Again, there was some justification for that because Trump was a little bit more out of control than she was. She was just biding her time. But Holt was unfair. But listen, that's the game. We all knew that was going to happen. We all knew that was going to be a problem. It's going to continue to be a problem. He's got to be able to play in that field. His best moment was when she said, Holt and she went after him for not releasing his tax returns. And he said, I'll release my tax returns when you release your emails. I think this is number 7, maybe? Yeah.
I will release my tax returns against my lawyer's wishes when she releases her 33,000 emails that have been deleted. As soon as she releases them, I will release my tax returns. And that's against my lawyers. They say, don't do it. I will tell you this. No, in fact, watching shows, reading the papers, almost every lawyer says, you don't release your returns until the audit's complete. When the audit's complete, I'll do it. But I would go against them if she releases her email.
Now, that's what we came to see. That is what we came to see. And did he do no prep? Did he have nothing in his mind? We came to hear about the emails. We came to hear about how, every time she attacked him on his business, he should have struck back. How did she get to be a multi-millionaire? How did that happen? Pay for play, the Libya disaster, Benghazi. We never heard the word Benghazi last night. Not one time did we hear it. Every single time. And I will get back to that in a minute. I will get back to why that happened, because that's the neurosis part. But let's just talk about now the middle part of the debate, which I thought kind of went back and forth. Some people said that Hillary won the last hour. Some people said she won the middle part. I didn't think so. I thought the middle part was back and forth. And interestingly, by the way, this is just offhanded, I went over the transcript today pretty closely, and Trump did a lot better in the transcript than he did on stage, which isn't going to count for anything because there's one person in America who's going to read the transcript. That's me. That was it. Okay. But here was the stuff that I thought went back and forth. Here was Hillary. They asked him about race, all the race riots. There's all this stuff going on in the country. And Hillary went on to talk about the problems with race. This is cut 10, I think.
Race remains a significant challenge in our country. Unfortunately, race still determines too much. Often determines where people live, determines what kind of education in their public schools they can get. And yes, it determines how they're treated in the criminal justice system. We've just seen those 2 tragic examples in both Tulsa and Charlotte. And we've got to do several things at the same time. We have to restore trust between communities and the police. We have to work to make sure that our police are using the best training, the best techniques, that they're well prepared to use force only when necessary. Everyone should be respected by the law, and everyone should respect the law.
Okay, there was a devastating response to this that he didn't make, and I will tell you about it in just a second. But first, we have to say goodbye to the folks on Facebook and YouTube. Come over to the Daily Wire. Listen to the rest. It's interesting.